BBC News' Huw Edwards, 61, tirelessly reported on the end of an era in British history as the Queen's 70-year reign sadly drew to a close, but has adamant that he doesn't want a knighthood for his achievements. The newsreader argued that some had devoted their lives to good causes, but had ended up with nothing in return, so he would be reluctant to receive honours. Huw, who has fronted the BBC's 10 o'clock news for almost 2 decades, admitted he had been desperate to avoid making a mistake during the tense coverage of the Queen's final hours, and her subsequent lying in state and funeral. However, he believes that some have done far more than him and that the suggestion he could receive a knighthood for the coverage is nothing more than excitable journalism. "I have been involved in nominating people for honours and, in a few cases, people who have spent a lifetime giving time to deserving causes and don't get anything," he explained. "So, although I don't mean it disrespectfully, the idea of a knighthood embarrasses me." Huw, along with royal correspondent Nicholas Witchell, worked so hard to get the latest news on the monarch out to the nation that his own mother contacted him out of concern. "My mum kept on messaging me saying, 'You look exhausted, there are huge bags under your eyes,'" he joked. The broadcaster claims that he initially found out about the Queen's death just 10 seconds before the rest of the nation. The confirmation ultimately led the star to switch from a navy blue tie to a black one, in order to be appropriately dressed for the period of mourning he knew would follow. Huw had opted to say very little during the coverage, to allow the tragic news to sink in as the public looked on. The reporter explained on reflection that keeping the commentary to a minimum had been a good call in his eyes. He continued to the Radio Times, "With all those hours on air, I was desperate not to make a terrible mistake. When you are on for that long, and tired, you are very nervous about tripping up." Perfection speaking, Huw added, "We all knew the announcement had to be right. The right tone, the right demeanour, everything." Meanwhile, as the BBC celebrates its 100th anniversary, Huw is clear that he won't be saying goodbye to his prestigious 10 p.m. slot anytime soon, unless he is obligated to do so. "I'm not going to walk away from something as prominent as the 10, he exclaimed. He added that he felt the channel was under constant attack from parts of the press who have a commercial interest, as well as from both Tory and Labour governments. However, amid criticism and backlash over whether the TV licence fee should even still exist, he says his role at the channel is to demonstrate that we are still a force for good. Huw also cited social media as one of the things that could be making viewers more cynical about the BBC. However, millions tuned into Huw's coverage of the Queen, while the nation mourned the loss of a source of reassurance and constancy. The broadcaster, who argues that the channel represents great value for money, says he hopes there is still a future for him there after almost 20 years. The full interview with Huw Edwards can be found in this week's issue of the Radio Times.